We are here, but will it pick up the game? It did. I have a little hair here that's annoying. Definitely can hear me. Yep. If you hear any background noise again, it's my AC, like always. It'll kick on every now and again, but it shouldn't be on the whole time. And then just to pick up where we left off, we are now Rebecca, I think. Possibly. Phantom disguises her friend Marianne discovered underground prison hidden in the deepest corners of the mansion. Yeah, that's about right. Okay, that's all good. Yes, we are Rebecca. I think I already read her profile in the last one. But Ashton was her friend, although she found him aggravating. She was very academic, good. My audio bitrate is what? Can you guys actually hear me? Or is it freaking out? Hold on, let me test. Hold on, let me test. Yeah, it's fine. I don't know why YouTube's yelling at me about audio bitrate. It never yells at me about audio bitrate. That's weird. That's weird. Anyways, there's the profile. Our relationships went down a little with Ash. I wonder why. God, she stands like she's always annoyed with the world. Does she have to be? Does she have to be so annoyed with the world? I don't like her shoes. Oh, shoot. Hold on. My chat is a pop-out right now, so if I click away, it goes away. But without further ado, let's continue. With a gentle wind drifting through wide-open windows, muffled laughters and footsteps fading behind empty hallways, and the light kiss of an afternoon sun, soon there will be a call, a crossing of thresholds into the unknown. Maybe we are off on some grand adventure or diving into another gripping mystery. One can't really tell. For all I know, a hero might even come and sweep me off my feet if I'm lucky.
Not exactly a bad thing when you think about it.
But this is far from one, isn't it? A riveting tale, that is. The mild breeze, the faint murmurs, the warm rays painting every nook and cranny a fiery hue, they are all as real as they can get. As much as I want to write a little tale out of this, I am far from someone who can. Fleeting fancies, that's what they are, merely passing thoughts to occupy an idle mind while waiting for another busy workday to end. Then again, maybe in another life I am one, who knows? But at the present, what have I done? What I have and what I've chosen to be, well...
I won't last years here if I find teaching rowdy adolescents a tedious job, will I?
Everyone finds their job tedious, but they still last because you kind of need money. Admittedly, the whole affair isn't exactly as grand or exciting as I had imagined as a child. Well, yeah. If I weren't so stubborn and too passionate about the whole idea, I probably would have quit a long time ago. But it's always the kids that make it worthwhile, isn't it? As if in agreement, as soon as my pen slides into a neat circle against the papers I'm grading, the final bell rings. Like a dam that has opened, students begin piling out in the hallway soon after. For a short minute, I let the noise fill my ears, let my mind wander to a place far removed from the hubbub. Solitary moments like this have come few and far between lately. Even my own home hasn't been as quiet as I usually prefer, though in hindsight the entire place hasn't been the same either since Isabella moved in next door. Am I literally next door? Interesting. And if her fussing over a minor cold last week tells me anything, I might as well throw away any idea of solitude out the nearest balcony as long as she lives nearby. She's complaining about Isabella when literally Rebecca constantly aggravates and goes after Isabella. At the memory, my eyes automatically shift over the bottle sitting at the edge of my desk. A chuckle escapes from me as I reach for
A
it.
little ball of energy and enthusiasm. That big baby.
Mother hen, she calls me, and then says and does the same thing right after. Well, yeah. It's not that I'm unused to being on the receiving end of other people's worries, or I feel any sort of apprehension over her fretting. If I am to be completely honest, it's actually amusing how someone can be childlike one minute, then act like a responsible adult the next. But there's a dissociance there, both in her actions and words. Although she may not look like it, may not say anything, may not lose her cheer, one way or another, I know these troubles have weighed her down lately. Her face says it all, that big numpty. If she thinks I won't notice, she's got another thing coming for her. That's how she's always been. I do understand that part, loud and clear. It's just that I really rather not pass another burden on to her.
Or become one myself.
Aren't I supposed to be the one taking care of them? Though I guess that's simply one of those things people will eventually grow away from once you've all started leading different lives. Not completely different, I hope. Somehow that thought makes me feel uneasy. Thankfully, before stranger ideas can take root in my head, a faint buzzing comes from my bag, cutting through the rest of my thoughts. Real quick. Oh, she went down with Isabella, too. I wonder why. Well, this might have been because she stayed at the house. She stayed at the movie premiere. Is it the same reason for Ash? I don't know. A small frown forms on my lips when the screen lights up and an unknown number flashes. For a long second, my thumb hovers over the answer button. Even the voice that responds once I do accept the call is wholly unfamiliar.
Oh, goodness. Finally, it connects.
Oh, is this Rose? Telling her that I fell down the stairs?
Hello? Is this Miss Gales? Rebecca Gales?
Probably.
Yes, speaking. Who is this?
Oh, sorry. Rose Cooper.
Yeah.
Briar Realty Corporation.
You're dead. I mean, what?
Briar Realty?
My frown deepens as I straighten from my chair. Something in her tone, despite sounding remarkably friendly and light, doesn't sit quite well. The rigid pause that follows doesn't help ease the tension that suddenly descended either.
Miss Cooper?
Yes. Things are a bit busy on my end. I apologize. I'm not certain if Isabella has mentioned anything before, but we're working together on a property at the moment, and...
The Armengard Mansion,
Oh my
yes.
God.
She said something about that earlier. Is there a problem?
This is about Isabella, actually.
She wastes no time relaying everything. The details she provided are admittedly a bit vague, but enough for me to get the gist of what happened. It isn't the bad sort I'm expecting, though still worrying, especially with the words panic attack and pale looking a bit sickly woven together on one foreboding sentence. But as quickly as it surfaces, I stomp down the urge to demand answers right then and there. Now isn't the proper time for useless questions. I'll find out soon enough regardless. To Miss Cooper's credit, she neither hesitates nor falters all throughout. There's some sort of comfort in knowing Isabella has someone like her to guide her, though not as much as I would have liked. After all, this is Isabella we're talking about. What are the chances she just said a bunch of excuses so she won't get sent home? High. Very high. Oh, she's so going to hear it this time.
You were listed as one of her emergency contacts, so I thought it'd be best you know about this.
How is she? Is she doing okay?
I had her take a break for now, but honestly, I'd feel better if someone were to pick her up and take her home for some rest. Anthem's a fair distance from Luxborn. I really don't want her going off on her own. I'd do it myself, but oh, you know how it is today. Big day. People everywhere until the open house ends. I'm really sorry to ask this of you, Miss Gales. I know you're busy.
Oh, no, it's all good. I was just about to leave from work. I hope to leave early today anyway. A few minutes ahead wouldn't hurt. I can be there in a few, 30, 40 minutes tops. Is that all right?
More than fine, Miss Gales, thank you. We're supposed to be here until... Oh, excuse me. One moment, please. Yes, ma'am.
The faint hum of a conversation echoes from her end. It sounds as though the place is buzzing with more people than you'd expect from a regular open house. I was skeptical at first. The house is old, not to mention its inconvenient location in Luxborn's outskirts. Who wants to live in a place almost an hour's drive from the comforts of a city? But from what little I can hear, it appears Isabella has every right to be optimistic about the sale. If I didn't understand why she was so adamant refusing my offer of help before, I think I do now, to some degree.
We'll be resuming the tour soon. Yes, thank you. Sorry about that. I really need to get this thing going. Lord knows how I'll salvage the situation here. It shouldn't be anything complicated, but still, clients. They can be difficult when they want to be. Anyway, just look for me when you get here, all right? It shouldn't be too hard to miss.
So Rebecca's gonna actually be at the mansion. Oh, my.
No problem. Thanks for letting me know about this. Just make sure Isabella stays put, please. Heaven knows how stubborn that girl can be.
Oh, believe me, I know. Don't worry about it. I'll have a few of our staff keep an eye on her for me until you get here.
But she's already left.
That's all I'm asking. I appreciate it.
The whole thing ends on a surprisingly pleasant note. If only the same can be said about the news she brought. I allow a brief minute to pass to ease whatever tension has latched itself firmly to my nerves, but no matter how much I wish for it, my mind stubbornly refuses to do so. My hands are unsteady against the papers I pretend to arrange after. Lucid thoughts, every single ounce of it grimmer than the other, grows with each passing second I linger. Something about this whole thing, along with the sudden unease and nagging worry, screams off, wrong. This isn't the riveting tale I'd hoped to step into today. Even on a rush, getting everything in order before leaving takes nearly a good quarter hour. By the time I make it out of the classroom, the commotion has already died down, dwindling to mere echoes and distant laughters. From the nearby room, melodies from a rehearsing band drift freely into the air, filling an almost empty hallway with their warm, lively tunes. Any other day, I'll stop, bask in the music, and enjoy what little peace it brings. Not today, however. My steps are brisk and sure as I march to Edwards? Is that supposed to be Edward? That's a weird way to spell it. Hall's exit. The sooner I confirm Isabella is okay, the sooner I can shake off this niggling feeling. What is that? I thought she'd put nagging. For one reason or another, the single call of all possible things has thrown everything off kilter. I'd rather this be over with as soon as possible. So much that I nearly barrel over a student in my haste. Though perhaps it's really the other way around. Yeah, it is her. When I look down, a set of bright eyes, hopeful, stare back at me. Her arms are wrapped around my waist like a vice, and at my attention, a grin spreads over her face.
Buenas tardes, Miss Pink.
Hello, Kylie.
Miss
You know,
Pink.
you aren't supposed to run into people like that.
It sounds like she was hugging her, not running.
Sorry, Miss Pink.
She loosens her hold on me, but not a hint of guilt or regret appears on her. If anything, it seems the remark only amused her. A smile appears on my face before I can help it, matching the one on her
Just
own.
remember not to do it again, all right? You could get hurt.
You sound like my mama when she's scolding Rowan, Miss Pink.
I'm sure your mama only means well. I know she'll be worried sick if one of you were to get hurt. Where's your brother anyway? Aren't you two supposed to be heading home now?
Rowan said he's got some stuff he needs to do before we go. I think he's taking too long. But he promised to buy me jelly babies today.
Ooh.
If I keep what he's doing a secret from Mama and Papa.
Because we found out that Marianne is locked in the basement, and she found the videotape of students from this place writing on the letter, send this to 5 people or else, addition to the help me letter. And they want to just give it to Rowan to spook him. So was Rowan supposed to go to the house too? Or did he go and he just wasn't there when they got the letter?
Any chance you'll tell Miss Pink about it?
So that was actually pretty recent then?
I made a promise. He said it's for Tio Luke.
Oh, something like a gift?
Like a deal. Tio promised to take him somewhere cool when he's old enough. Rowan's gonna prove he's a grown-up.
By going to the mansion, even though it's where your Uncle Luke wants to buy. Laughter slips from my lips. The teacher in me wants to give whoever this Tio reprimand for bringing about this kind of behavior in children. But if both Suarez kids are so fond of him, there shouldn't be anything to worry about, yes? At any rate, they're nothing but well-behaved, both Kylie and her brother. Rowan, the eldest, may have occasionally odd streak in and out of class, but their parents taught them well. I see no reason to cast any suspicion of bad behavior on them.
As long as it isn't anything dangerous, all right?
I think it is.
Not cross my heart. My drawings are a lot prettier than what he's doing anyway. Tio said so. Do you want to see? I drew one earlier at class.
As long as it's not a demon
Is
ghost.
that why you're here?
Not really. I was gonna show it to my friend first. But since it's you, I'm sure she wouldn't mind if you see it before she does.
Is her friend the ghost?
Oh no. I can't stay right now, Kylie.
Her face falls immediately after the words are out. A small part of me feels responsible for the crestfallen look, but as much as I want to stay a little longer, there's another place I need to be at right now, and frankly, another child to look after. Taking both of her hands, I kneel in front of her and muster the most rueful smile I can give. At her age, I'm sure she already understands what I'm about to say before they're even out. But remarkably, she doesn't look away or pout as I'm
I'm
expecting.
sorry. You know what? Rowan has a class with me on Monday around this time. Why don't you drop by again next week? After class? I'll even make sure to wait for you. It's just that I absolutely must leave now. My friend had an accident earlier, and I'm the only one she has here.
Actually, she's got ass.
What about her mama and Pa?
Her family lives really far from here, I'm afraid.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember where Asia is? The southeast part? That's where they are.
Her eyes immediately light up at my question. Just like that, I know I've earned the girl's forgiveness.
Oh, just like Takako.
Is that the ghost? Because the ghost is definitely Asian.
Who?
My friend.
She is friend with the ghost? This little girl.
She said she used to live there, only just a little higher than southeast.
Why is it being nice to her?
But she hasn't come home in a long time, so she doesn't remember much about it anymore. Melody says it's weird I talked to her.
Yeah.
But I think she's just shy. They could be good friends too. Don't you think so, Miss Pink?
Maybe if you introduce them properly, they will be.
Oh, Lord.
I think. Takako's just lonely. If she makes more friends, she won't be anymore. Is your friend like that too?
A little, possibly. To be honest, sometimes I can't tell with her.
How hard it would have been for just to pull out the picture and show her now. She's already spending way too long talking to this girl. After all, Isabella has always been the kind to hold a smile, even when things have taken a turn for the worse. 5 years and one will think it's enough time to know a person, but when you consider it, come to think of it, all these years I've never, not even once, seen her cry. Not over a trivial matter or even when things are tough.
Okay, you can go to her. I'll just show you my drawing next time.
Thank you. Remind me to buy you a huge glass of parfait, all right?
No, I'll get a stomachache. Takako says so.
Now you're taking food advice from a ghost who hasn't eaten food in for how long?
A small one is okay.
I'll remember that. Say hi to your friend for me.
I will. I'm sure she'd love to meet you too. See you, Miss Pink.
And kill me.
I'll see you later, Kylie.
She doesn't look back or wait for any sort of goodbye from me. With a song and extra spring in her steps, she bounds across the corridor with as much spirit as only a child her age can have, as if the conversation never had taken any downhill turn for her at all, as if there isn't a single worry in the world. Not long after, she disappears behind a door, leaving behind strains of an old familiar rhyme lingering in the air. Carefree, unbidden, untroubled moments like this, I envy her. As I resume my hurried pace, a tiny whisper at the back of my mind wishes the same can be said of myself and my own worries. Luxford may be a small city, but it's no stranger to the hellish rush-hour traffic. But surprisingly, getting out of the city today proves more of a breeze than a hassle. A relief considering how none of my calls to Isabella have made it through. Either reception's really bad over there, or she's ignoring them on purpose. Both does nothing to ease the disquiet in me. The rest of my drive passes without much incident as soon as I'm out of the busy streets. In less than 30 minutes, the mansion looms ahead of me. For all the fuss Isabella made about the house, it remains a thing of beauty. Unlike Luxford, the estate and nearby Ansem village stand as its complete opposite. Living and breathing the songs of old, whispers of the once booming have lingering in the air. Contemporary conveniences aside, it's a place I'm glad modernization hasn't wholly
It's
touched.
just a shame the locals know more of the silly hearsay than the history itself. If I could only knock some sense into these people.
It's real. Sadly, complaining is all I can afford to do. As much as I want to give them a piece of my mind, it isn't why I'm here. I don't think these rich types will appreciate getting a lecture from me either, as I have as much business with them as they have with me. With a heavy sigh, I give myself one last second to take in the scenery before heading up to the main entrance. Most of the guests are already heading out. Although some still linger, it's mainly just to take photos of the house's facade or its various rooms. I pause for a moment, scanning the small crowd gathered at the foyer, looking for any sign of a familiar ponytail amongst the sea of hats and heads.
No sign of her.
No sign of the other staff or Miss Cooper either. I can certainly look for Isabella on my own, but in a place this big, I'd be lucky if I didn't end up lost or find her before we need to meet with Zachary and Ash tonight. Sighing, I reach for my mobile and redial her number, the gesture familiar now after so many attempts earlier. If she doesn't answer, I can still try contacting Miss Cooper. I just hope the network reception will cooperate this time. The side of this county has never been popular with the tech-savvy, after all. To my relief, it only took 3 unsuccessful tries. At the 4th one, right as I was about to switch to another intercept message, the line finally rings. Silence follows while I wait for her to pick it up, the ringing going far too long for my tastes. By now, most of the visitors have already cleared out. All I have for company are the faint murmurs of an eerie calmness left in their wake. A sudden hush settles and gives way to noises louder than they're ever meant to be. Doors creaking and slamming shut in some distant part of the mansion, floorboards groaning under the sheer weight of the house's history, and the now empty hall, they all reverberate with a special clarity against the walls. Like this, those old stories seem to almost have a ring of truth to it. I don't get to stray too far into the ugly line of thought, however, and not a second later, a click from the other end.
Hello? Isabella? Miss Cooper called earlier and...
Okay, real quick before we keep going. Okay. Oh, now it jumps and says we're at 52%? Why was this at 0 for the entirety? Does it wait until after I finish the chapter to give me a percentage, perhaps? That would make sense. And is that a number for only the choices? I don't know. I am confused by it. Okay, let's look here. Is there any quick time death events? Holy crap, this is a lot. I forgot she's a long story. I don't think I'm going to be able to get through all of her story tonight. It's just not going to be possible. The ghost is probably like, what is taking this girl so long? God. I don't see any QuickTime events yet. Oh, right there. Okay. So there is one. It looks like that's a game over. And then actual ending. My only question is, do they always lead back? They always lead back. It just is a different ending. There's 4 variants here? That's insane.
Isabella?
No, not Isabella. And why hasn't... She's been calling her since she left school, so why didn't Isabella pick up at all in the past 30-minute ride out here? It makes no sense when she was just riding with Ash the whole way.
Belle? Are you alright?
Without any warning, the call gets cut off. Busy notes blare sharply against the heavy silence. But above the noise cutting through the mute air remains the faint cries of a woman from beyond the foyer. My hand falls to my side as I cast a wary look around, waiting for someone to come running. Surely I can't be the only one hearing this. There must still be some staff hanging around, checking things out. But no one does, not even when her sobs turn more frantic and anguish.
Excuse me? Hello? Who's there? Isabella?
No.
Isabella? Is that you?
No answer. Growing anxious, I amble over to where her cries come from, each step slow and cautious towards the door on the other end of the room. You know, if she went through this before the movie, then it's really rude of her to not even consider Isabella's experience to be true. While I am far from someone who readily gives into fear in stories lacking factual basis, the vague, restless feeling I have earlier immediately returns to me, and despite myself, my heart begins to race and my breathing quickens.
Belle, it's me. Miss Cooper called. Is everything okay?
Abruptly, all of it stops. My whole body tenses, mouth dragging in a ragged breath, ears straining for any other sound yet to come from the other side, but nothing follows. Instead, the quiet only lends itself to the heavy tension in the air, as if every small movement will disturb the fragile stillness hanging in the room. I wait for another second, then without caution I reach for the knob. My fingers barely graze the brass handle when a hand falls on my shoulder.
Me.
Oh, hey, Rose.
I am so sorry. I didn't mean to startle you.
Startle her some more.
No, it's
I look back at the door, expecting the cries to start again, or whoever's inside to burst out. But I don't dwell on these. The woman's worried voice breaks through my haze in my mind again, oddly soothing in the thick of my unease. Even if the concerned look comes from a total stranger, finally being in the company of someone else is somehow comforting.
Mom? Are you okay?
No.
No, I'm fine. This is probably just some cold.
Do you need to sit down?
No need. I'm actually looking for a friend.
I wave the mobile in front of her like a gesture alone explains everything. Vaguely, I note my tight grip on it and quickly slip it into my pockets before she notices, and she doesn't need to know.
Well, I'm not really sure if your friend would still be here. We're actually about to close the open house in a few minutes, ma'am.
No worries. She's not a guest here. She works for Briar Realty.
How have they not understood that this is the people they talk to on the phone? Like, their voices sound familiar.
Miss Cooper called me earlier. In fact, I'm also looking for her.
Recognition flashes in her eyes, and her worried expression dissolves into a smile. It's all I need to know that I don't need to look elsewhere or venture deeper into the mansion. In some way, I'm not too keen on that right now.
Miss Rebecca Gales, is it?
Yes. Sorry if I'm a bit late.
It's not a problem. I was busy with the open house and a few clients anyway. It's actually a good thing you came when you did. Let's see. Isabella should be here somewhere. I told her to stay put earlier. That girl never listened.
Rose? Rosie?
Oh,
Have
she's
a
still here?
minute. There's just this one little thing before we go.
Miss Cooper head immediately snaps up at the voice. In a blink, a different kind of smile spreads on her face. A smile still, friendly even, but the kind given mainly for the sake of pleasing other people rather than making friends.
Yes, ma'am. I'll be there in a few.
It's an impressive thing to say the least. That level of professionalism. I suppose working in this kind of business trains you enough to be able to pull that off without batting an eye. It certainly doesn't seem to rub off on Isabella though, because she doesn't need to be professional in front of you. But when she's at work, she is professional. Does she not understand there's a difference between work and real friends?
Sorry, could you give me a second? I have to take care of this.
Don't worry about it. I understand. I can wait a few more minutes.
But you didn't want to, but okay.
Clients, right?
You won't hear anything from me. Priorities, you know? But if you want, you can stay at the parlor in the meantime. I think we have a few refreshments left.
No, thank you. I'm going out with a few friends after this. Isabella's supposed to join us too. But that depends on how she's doing, of course.
All right, this won't be long, I promise.
She throws me an apologetic look before sauntering over to a small group gathered at the entrance. A couple or siblings? He already has this black aura going on. Is that supposed to be the ghost? Like the ghost is just attached to him because it looks so much like the guy in the portrait? Because from what I know of the ghost was the servant of this chick and then this guy. And she was in love with this guy and he was in love with her, but she didn't like that. So she tortured him and tortured the ghost and had the ghost burned at the stake and called her a witch, and then the house got cursed. But he looks a lot like Luke, obviously. So is this supposed to be the ghost hanging out behind him? Because he looks just like her lover and she's obsessed, possibly? Because it's weird. This, in everyone else's view, we haven't seen this yet. But this is at the end of the day. So this is the latest we've seen him on this day. So maybe it is just her just chilling with him. A couple are siblings, and then another woman, probably their secretary. Either way, they look no different from the other guests. All three of them primly dressed, albeit in a manner significantly simpler than the others. No frills or extravagance of any form. But their gestures and movements alone speak volumes of their ingrained lifestyle. In their presence, I do what I can to appear inconspicuous on my side of the foyer. Maybe accepting Miss Cooper's offer would have been a much better choice than standing around awkwardly and gaping at them. All while also attempting my best not to listen in on their conversation. Just listen. Although that one proves more difficult with how enthusiastic the blonde woman is. Her voice easily echoes through the walls with only 5 of us here. Pretty soon I find myself being drawn into their talk without meaning to.
Tomorrow? First thing in the morning?
First thing in the morning, ma'am.
Mundane talk isn't what catches my attention,
Very
however.
well. We'll have our lawyers prepare everything as soon as possible. Let's make this whole thing easier for everyone, shall we? Just let me know if there's anything you need from me. You know how to contact me, yes?
Got your mobile number saved here already.
Good. It's just a matter of time then.
It's a brief moment. A fleeting shift of my
One day
eye.
for us, Marianne.
What does she see?
As long as you're positive, we won't be having any problems by that time. You can count on my team.
You worry too much. Let me handle those things. Do be thrilled, though. I imagine it's not every day you get projects like this, hmm?
I think she's talking about their date that they're supposed to have on Monday, but it's weird that she spoke like that. And the instant I turn my gaze on him, I see it.
Oh, I'm certain Mint's ecstatic, Buttercup.
She sees the ghost?
Aren't you, Marianne? You know, we could all celebrate this with a few drinks. Why don't we? In fact, there's this really excellent Irish pub I visited a few days ago.
Okay, Luke. looming, hovering over his shoulders, drawn to him like a moth to the flame. A dark blur, yeah, a shadow.
I think I'll pass on that, sir.
Hello?
I have more important matters to attend to.
Are we underwater?
Heather, love, she's busy.
This is getting weird.
Such a shame. You never let me do anything fun.
But as I try to make sense of it, a heavy feeling descends over my whole body. It happens without warning, forcing me to close my eyes. The sensation creeps to every part of me, crawling under my skin and draining me little by little of my strength. Before I know it, my hand is gripping the nearby door for support. The sudden nausea drowns out their voices, what little sound there is. All except for the whispers and laughters, judging, mocking, taunting, muffled inaudible words bearing down on me like a death sentence. They wrap around my neck and limbs, binds tightening with every syllable, every utterance, and with each draw of breath I take, they drag me down slowly, almost painfully, into a bottomless abyss, on and on and on, till the sounds turn into more distant echoes, until suddenly it shatters.
Well, what are we waiting for? Are we done here?
So why could Rebecca see that and no one else? Oh, now it's gone. His voice rips through the fog like a sharp blade and my eyes snap open. When I look at them again, it's
You can
gone.
head back to the car first if you want, Luke. I hope that settles everything, Rose. I don't know what Isabel's problem is, but please make sure she doesn't hurt herself. Anyway, we're looking forward to seeing you tomorrow.
That's awfully nice of her, though, to still be concerned about her hurting herself.
Likewise, ma'am.
No shadows or dark clouds, only amicable smiles and cordial handshakes, the usual pleasantries as Miss Cooper leads them out of the mansion like a graceful host. None of the group seems to have noticed it, and even as I force my breathing to calm down and keep my eyes trained on their backs and wait for something to happen, it doesn't come back. She returns a moment later. Gently, she closes the great doors behind her, but there's a smile on her lips and an extra skip in her step when she walks back to me. Whatever she was discussing with the group had put her in a good mood. Even she appears to have not observed anything odd. Was I just seeing things?
Glad that was over. It's been a long day. I thought for sure we were going to... hey, are you sure you're doing okay? You look a bit green.
No, I'm not.
It's all good. I'm actually still recovering from a cold.
The cold gives me superpowers so I can see ghosts.
Weather's been crazy lately.
That must be it. The weather, the stupid cold, and the friendly warnings I'm too stubborn to listen to. As much as I hate to admit it, Isabella's right. I was and still am a little feverish when she visited me at school this morning. The medicine helped, of course, but only some. Although it's not like I can't function. It did get better after lunch, and I was able to go through my schedule like the usual. Now I'm not so sure. However, I can't keep acting like I've seen some sort of apparition when it's anything but. I simply must have listened too many times to Isabella last week. My fever-muddled mind has started to confuse things. What does she mean by last week? Is Isabella already talking about ghosts before she even came here? Oh, I mean, she probably knew about this house trying to be sold for a while, so possibly. If this doesn't let up, I just need another visit to my doctor, plain and simple. Though I do hope it won't get worse. We did promise to watch Zachary's film together.
I know what you mean. I've been complaining to Isabel. It doesn't seem to affect her much, though. Must be because she grew up in the tropics. Anyway, shall we? She's probably hanging out with the rest of the catering staff.
Oh, I wouldn't be surprised she's there. She eats like 10 hungry men when she isn't feeling well.
Especially if there's free food, I'd eat
Lead
like
the
that.
way.
With a small nod, she gestures for me to follow. I do so without much thought, finally putting everything in the back of my mind. The entire visit took 24 minutes, and my trip to the mansion, as it turns out, is a useless endeavor in itself. Isabella is no longer there, left shortly before I arrived. Or at least that's what a few of the staff who saw her assumed. None of them knew where she went, but I can take a few guesses. There are only a number of places in Luxbourne she frequents, and well, she's never been the complex kind, so it doesn't really take a genius to figure out. Wow, that was a difficult sentence for some reason. Still, it's odd that she left on her own. She could have at least waited for Miss Cooper. It would have saved her having to pay the cab's fare twice today.
Right after she was told to stay put. I mean, who does that? Oh, sod off! You don't own the road.
Rebecca, you need to calm down. In the end, all Miss Cooper could give me were a string of apologies for my trouble and a request to let her know when I find Isabella. The whole affair didn't even last long. I probably spent more time traveling back and forth. Soon enough, I'm weaving my way back to downtown Luxbourne, worried sick, and on top of that, maybe a little annoyed. A little annoyed? You're like always annoyed, so this is a lot annoyed. Whether at the unexpected turn of events or at Isabella herself, I'd rather not think about it for now. Not when I'm already running late for Zachary's film. Besides, I'm perfectly sure that's where I'll find her. As one would expect, people are already gathered at the movie house when I get to it. The small avenue where it's located has been closed off early from any passing traffic to make way for the avid moviegoers who are sure to crowd the venue. I have to park almost a street away and walk the remaining distance because of it. Looking for them has taken a while in the crowd this big, but I eventually spot them near the entrance. Thanks to Zachary, mostly. And like I've surmised, Isabella's with them.
It.
Wasting no time, I march over to their little group. Words filled with concern tumble out of my mouth before I can stop
Isabella!
myself.
Oh, thank goodness.
Even though she's so angry.
Becca, you're just in time.
An odd expression crosses her face as I hold it with both hands. But I ignore it in favor of getting a good look at her, forcing her to keep still and fix her gaze at me.
You're squishing my face. How are you? Are you all right? Why wouldn't I be?
There doesn't seem to be any visible injury, nor does she appear to be in pain. Apart from her confused frown at my question, she looks pretty much like how she would any other day. Even so, you can't really tell these things with her at first glance. The last time she got sick, she never bothered to call anyone, even me, who lives right next door. If I hadn't checked on her then, she probably would have died on the bed with the rest of us, none the wiser. I mean, yeah. That's some very foreboding, what is it called? Foreshadowing stuff right there. Because when we went to work and confronted the ghost at work as Isabella, the other option was to stay home, and I'm pretty sure that would have led to either death or I think being in a coma with no one knowing about it, because Isabella wouldn't have called anyone. So that's a little foreshadowing. It's one thing we laugh about now, but moments like those also teaches you something about a person. If anything, it has given me more reason to constantly worry about her. And the moment a familiar name comes up, I know my concerns right now aren't completely baseless.
Rose called me earlier.
Her expression swiftly changes, and as gently as she can, Isabella pushes my hands away. Yet even before she says anything, I already have a hunch about how this whole thing will play out.
No, everything's good. Rose covered for me at work today. That's not what I'm talking about. How's your head?
Then and there, the whole conversation goes down as I've imagined. She dodges my hand when I reach for the back of her head, intending to check the said injury myself. Even makes a show of hiding behind Zachary just to avoid me. This is a cute little thing to see. Instantly, what's supposed to be a simple inquiry dissolves into a shameless game of tag, shouting and chasing like none of us can be bothered to act like full-grown adults we're all supposed to be, including Ashton. I won't put it past Isabella, but Ash, out of everyone? In fact, as if that stupid smirk on his face tells me anything, he finds this whole mess amusing. Oh, for the love of...
Isabella, this isn't a laughing matter.
She did look pale when I saw her.
Wow, thanks a lot, Ashton, you traitor. I'll get you back for this. Just you wait.
What? I'm just saying it as it is. If you mentioned this earlier, we wouldn't be having this conversation right now.
There's a moment's pause, my hand still midair, as my attention shifts to Ashton and the words he leaves hanging between the four of us. He doesn't meet my eye. I don't think he's even aware of what he said, but the meaning in each syllable alone is clear, and they echo, they sting, and they burn.
I'm sorry. Saw her?
Yeah, they arrived together. Bella looked fine to me then. I don't know.
Of course, of course! Why else would Isabella leave on her own after being told to stay put, after that little chat about money this morning? Something close to silence falls while I mull over their words, both what's already been said and what's left unspoken. When do I find my voice? It only reeks with nothing but bitter, unpleasant thoughts. Thoughts I quickly stamp out before they surface. Thoughts I hide the best I can in the deepest parts of my mind, locking it away for no one to see.
Oh, that's good. At least she didn't have to travel alone, right? At least. Good.
Yet try as I might, the green-eyed monster easily rears its ugly head, like it always does every time his gaze lingers a second longer. Every time he smiles in a manner far too gentle, far too sincere, whenever he thinks no one can see. Every time my mind suggests his words mean more than they should. Every small little thing. Despite what he says, despite his tone.
Guys.
For all I know, it may just be the same kind of fondness born from friendship. No. Maybe I'm simply overthinking, like he often tells me, or maybe there really is something there. But in his short display of impatience, I know the whole of it is just for show. After all, growing up together with him didn't teach me nothing about him. For whose sake it is this time, though. For him? For Zachary? For her? Or for me? That I can't
If she
tell.
says she's okay, then there's nothing we can do about it. It's not like we can stop her either. Besides, she's still acting like the same old Isabella to me, if she can still run around like that.
Why are you taking her side?
I'm not. But if she wants to watch Zach's movie with us, I'm not going to stop her. She's probably the one looking forward to it the most.
Ash, that's... You, of all people, should know...
Tell you what, if I notice something amiss with her, I'll take her to the nearest hospital myself. Is that good enough for you?
My mouth opens and snaps shut almost as quickly, forming a thin, hard line instead. I can't respond, not because there's nothing to say. On the contrary, there's plenty, so many things I can use to reason to get him to agree. But because he speaks with much certainty and much reassurance, it feels like there isn't even a choice. All I can give is a long, deep breath and a reluctant nod in the face of it. Before I can get a grip of myself and my own weakness, the mood immediately shifts and I'm being tackled into a hug.
Thanks, Becca. It's always been you with him, isn't it?
Which you'd think she would have brought up this conversation with him earlier, or just given up once she noticed how much he's into this other girl.
Did you say something?
Yes.
Me? Nothing. Don't mind me.
A lie, obviously. What else can it be? Each and every smile, a tiny effort to keep things as they are, or so I tell myself. Little do I know this is merely a preamble. It is. It starts out quietly and without fanfare, amidst friendly jibes and harmless teasing, with a scrap of paper fluttering harmlessly to the ground. One that looks especially like a cheap Halloween prank, no matter how you look at it. And yet, despite how ludicrous it is, Isabella stubbornly insists, as if our whole life depends on acknowledging the truth in her story. Does she even realize how absurd she sounds now? Crivens, even my students wouldn't fall for this.
Isabella, aren't you taking this a bit too far?
She doesn't give me time to regret, nor think over my choice of words. From there it escalates, grows into an argument too petty for even our standards as adults. She's so focused on standards and being adult-like, it's frustrating. Just be you. Before we know it, one after another, harsh, scathing words are being spoken.
It's not a joke! Will you guys listen to me first? I saw something in the house earlier. It stood right in front of me. If I hadn't gotten away, that thing might have...
Right. And in broad daylight, Isabella. Even someone gullible would find the logic in that screwed up.
There's also no way in hell that this supernatural shit is true.
But it's real! What do you think I saw?
There are those cat eyes again.
A hallucination? A delusion? Didn't you say you fell down some stairs? So maybe Rebecca's right.
It happened after, when I was trying to get away. I almost got stuck in the same room with that thing. We're all in danger. I thought you were my friends. Why don't you believe me?
But someone has to be patient in all of this. And however much my own has already been frayed earlier, there's no one else. Who else here can deal with someone selfishly acting like a kid? Oh my God, Rebecca is so annoying. Oh my God, she's so judgmental. Like every other time, it has to be me.
And you know that. But this thing and that thing has got nothing to do with the other. When Rose called earlier, I thought she's just exaggerating. But based on what I'm seeing right now, maybe it's better if we really postpone this for now.
Don't bother.
Just like that, she cuts us off, slams the door right on our faces while my own temper flares before I can stop it. Although it falters briefly at the hard expression on her, when she snatches the blasted paper from Ashton, I hold on to it. Regardless of how upset she appears, soured expressions and balled fists throwing a tantrum is simply unacceptable. For a grown woman at that, words from the top of my tongue are ready. But before I can open my mouth and let all of it out, her feelings and mistakes be damned, Zachary raises a voice of his own. A warning underneath his warm and hopeful beat in his voice. We all stop to look at him, even my own anger subsides a little at his tone.
Why don't we all calm down first? I'm sure Isabella has her reasons too. No need to be hard on her. And hey, ain't this supposed to be a happy get-together?
To an outsider, it may sound like a desperate request, but Zachary... Oh my God. Whew, I apologize for all the yawning. Has always been the one to keep a level head over petty squabbles. And this time's no different. He knows what to say when he lets it fall. They only ring sharp and true.
We haven't seen each other for months. I'd really love to know what y'all have been up to. I only ever get to talk to Bella over chat. Please...
And as careful as he is with his own tone, it does make me feel ashamed. We're supposed to be here for him, to give what little support we can give, yet here he is trying to keep 3 stubborn people from outright hashing it out in public. Later we can and will talk about it, of course. There's a proper time and place for it, and at the moment my anger and whatever reprimands it carries no longer matter. Besides me, Ashton appears to have already caught on. The lines of his shoulders ease into something more relaxed, his expression back to his usual nonchalance. Isabella, however, she stands perfectly still, her hands clasping the straps of her bag like a lifeline, eyes trained at some point near her shoes. There's no anger in her face, only undeniable hurt. But she's never been good at hiding what she thinks. Always the open book, always the one to wear her heart out in the open, and yet she never cries in front of you, this girl. And when she looks up, her answer is also as simple.
If we keep arguing here, we're going to miss the first few minutes.
So where are we in, oh god. Moving rather fast, not gonna lie. I like it. So we're going this way? Is it because she stays for the movie and this would be if she went home? So if she went home, more things would have happened. Interesting. Her lips curled up into a smile, though lacking both its usual brightness and glee. It's a smile nonetheless. I've seen it countless times. It's the very same one she would show when she knows she has no other choice, or simply when things get too tough for her. But despite everything I already know about her, it still catches me off guard. In all honesty, I expected her to run, to balk at the first sign of losing this time. I won't even be surprised. At 26, she is the youngest among the rest of us, less experienced, less accustomed to dealing with trivial quarrels like this. Yet here she is, holding herself and coping with it like how she would with matters concerning her family. Outside of that, to me, she's always been this childish, naive girl, and watching the opposite play out right now, somehow I find it difficult to wrap my head around it.
All right, that's the Isabella I know.
Again, it sounds like Isabella's actually more mature than you give her credit for, and you're just rude and judgmental. So she's 29, Marian's 30, 31 for Zach, and he still hasn't kissed a girl? Oh my god. He's older than I thought. I thought he was like 26 like Isabella. Hannah's 31. Oh, so they'd actually be the right age if they did get together. That's interesting. Isabella, 26. So I wonder how old Ash and Luke are.
Oh, good. I thought for sure you were going to cry.
But I envy her.
What's that for?
Stop calling me a crybaby! I'm not one!
Aw, don't cry.
Stop it!
If he doesn't, like, attack you like that, then you won't, like, elbow him, and he just wants to be touched by you. How everything seems to be simply fall back to a pleasant, lively rhythm with her sound around. With how easily and tightly she fits into our lives, even without bonds only long years could forge, like a lost piece of the puzzle despite her jagged edges. How she draws people to her with ease. How Ashton, of all people, can be drawn to her.
Okay, scaredy cat then.
That too. If you repeat that, I swear I'll...
Let's just go.
The flirting is so intense. I make no effort keeping the bitterness from my tone. I let it seep, linger stiffly in the air as I avert my gaze from them, from their playful banter, their friendly teasing remarks, and Ashton's tender, affectionate smiles, all before the stabbing aches in my heart change into something too painful to bear. It's all in my head is what I'd often tell myself, yet the way my heart rends at just the sight of them hurts, and like a coward I walk away from all of it, taking with me a small hope the movie will distract me away from these thoughts, because like this, it's easy to find something to hate in her. See, I think she hasn't truly been that close of friends with Isabella because she's been so jealous over how much Ash cares about her, whether it's they're romantic or not. She's just been so jealous that she is seeing the worst in Isabella compared to actually trying to understand her. That's what I get. Yeah. Jessica's already given way to the night when we leave the film fest. Unfortunately, it does nothing to improve my mood like I'm hoping, and neither does the muggy air that greets us upon stepping back into the noisy streets. Too busy, too loud, too many people taking what little space the sidewalk offers. It forces anyone to bump shoulders with those they barely know, let alone care about. On a normal evening, I probably wouldn't have minded the crowd nor the humid weather. It's not like any of them are bothering anyone. And yet, even with what's admittedly a pleasant company, I can't bring myself to lighten up.
See you guys some other time.
Yeah, see ya!
Not even to return the smiles Ashton and Zachary gives us when we go our separate ways. Perhaps this started with Miss Cooper's call, or earlier than that, maybe even the moment I left the bed this morning. Bloody hell, it could have been because of that sodding letter for all I know. I couldn't care less at this point. All I want is to get a warm bath, sleep, and wait for this dreadful day to end. Now, if only Isabella would stop babbling, then maybe this dull throbbing at the side of my head won't turn into a full-blown headache, too.
Zach did a pretty good job with his movie, didn't he? Even though Ash said he ran into some trouble late into filming. But I knew he had it in him.
What was that face?
It's not like I didn't believe he couldn't do it. I mean, did you see his face after the credits rolled? All those months he worked on this, and everything's finally...
You weren't even watching.
Oh my god, Rebecca.
Only the first minutes. I watched the rest of it, I swear. Besides, Ashton was the one who wouldn't stop asking questions.
Well, why do we still need to talk about this then? I liked it. Ash liked it. You liked it. Shouldn't you be telling that to Zachary in person?
Oh my god.
I'm sure he'll appreciate it better than I ever will.
I know that, but maybe there's something you want to say? Zach had you check the scripts before he went through everything, didn't he? You also worked on it, even if it was only for a short time. So, maybe you want to...
I don't bother waiting for the rest. The moment I spot my car, I immediately make a quick beeline for it. Knowing her, this is merely another attempt at starting a conversation, just so we'll have something to fill the dead air and to replace the strained atmosphere we somehow walked into. That you've created, Rebecca. One thing, the very thing I'm not too keen to deal with at the present. Behind me, Isabella changes her pace to match mine, her soft strides growing brisk and uneven in order to catch up. A small part of me half expects she'll suddenly trip. She's not the clumsy sort, but there are definitely times when she can be the least coordinated person on the planet.
Hey! Oh no. Wait for me!
And people wonder why I worry. They're not really completely unfounded once you've already grown familiar with her habits, though right now, this is also the very end of the list of things I'd want to think about. Sometimes it does become overbearing. Even her voice as she calls after me sounds nothing more than background noise to my ears now.
Rebecca, slow down, will you? Your car's not going to leave without us.
Unless it's possessed.
The sooner we get on the road, the earlier we can get home. It's Friday, in case you didn't notice.
I know what day it is. But the traffic's not going to magically disappear, even if we go there right now.
I don't want to hear that from you. Didn't you used to complain how horrendous the traffic is back home for you?
Yeah? But that doesn't have anything to do with this, Becca.
Okay. What do you want to do then? Wait it out? Walk? I just want to go home, Isabella. If you want to stay out here longer, I won't stop you. But leave me out of it. I'm not up for any other foolish excursions tonight.
Rebecca's the personality that I would have expected someone like Hannah to have, who was raised up super rich and snobby, but Jesus, Rebecca. She's probably my least favorite character, followed by Marianne.
I wasn't thinking about an excursion. I want to go home too. It's already late. It's just that you've been in this prickly mood since earlier. Are you really okay? Was it the cold? Or did something happen at school? Do you want to talk about it?
Do we get a decision? A long pause follows, and it holds everything she's been meaning to ask from the very start. I'm in no mood, but all the same my hand stops short of unlocking my car and my grip on the handle tightens. I can feel her eyes boring into me, waiting, hoping patiently for any answers I'd give. She's the same as Zachary, they're bad liars. But when you talk to people like them, if you're not careful, they often leave you with no other choice but admit the truth. Those exact same ones I can't voice. Despite my lack of response, she pushes on surprisingly. This time her tone is quieter, more tentative than usual.
Was it because of the letter?
It's a well-meaning question, much like the rest of this talk, yet somehow something in how she says it irks me.
If it is, I'm really sorry. I didn't mean to cause a scene. I did see something in the mansion, though. I wasn't lying about that.
Wherever she wants to take this, I no longer want to hear a word of it. Not at this minute, preferably never. Especially when there are already a million other things buzzing and prodding inside my head. Okay, yeah, we do get a decision. Save! I'm not in the mood to talk. This cold caught up with me. Oh no, I have to sneeze. Oh. I'm gonna go with cold caught up with me.
And during the open house,
Yeah.
even if there were a lot of people around, there were weird things happening. I don't know if there was anyone else who noticed, but I heard things. I'm sure it wasn't because I fell down the stairs. Even before that, in the attic,
Isabella.
Yeah?
A pause, though I don't let it last, only to give myself a small window to breathe before I lay down the words between us with as much restraint as my patience allows, which is not much after everything. I can only hope Isabella will simply take them as they are. She can be stubborn as a mule when she wants to be.
This kind of conversation tonight. Look, it's been a long day. I think this cold also caught up with me, and I'm really exhausted. Can we talk about this some other time?
She blinks, and although disappointment flashes momentarily in her face, she gives me a courteous nod. I'm trying to see. Oh, it's been an hour. A relief for me, perhaps the first time I genuinely feel it today. As unpleasant as this day has been, seeing something go the way I anticipated takes the edge out of it, even if lying through my teeth had to go with it.
Oh, all right. You should have just said so. I told you you should have taken a full week off. Were you able to get the meds I brought you, though? Do you need anything? I could drop by the pharmacy for you.
Yeah, no need to fuss. A good night's sleep is all I need. I've been busy the whole day. I guess I should have listened to you and taken it easy. But we have exams to prepare for. It's one or the other, you know?
I knew it! Here I thought you were just upset about something. Even Ash looked a little bit worried about you.
It's fine. Let's just head home, okay? I'll make it up to you next time. Call me out to lunch or wherever, just... not right now.
Okay, but should you be driving? If you want, I can call a taxi for us. You'll hate paying the extra fees, but you'll be able to get some rest on the way home.
No, don't call a cab. I can manage driving at least. Just get in the car so we can be on our way.
I'm already opening the door and climbing into the seat before she can protest. Left with no other choice, she follows inside shortly, albeit with a bit of a reluctance. The guilt from this will eat at me later, but for now these little falsehoods are mine to bear and hide under. For now, this is the better choice. Better than pretending she doesn't exist or giving her vague answers. I was going to say fake answers. Certainly better than harsh words and outright lashing out at her. Yeah, I can find a little comfort in that. Thankfully, if there's anything left to be spoken between us after, we won't have to discuss it on the way home. Or rather, we can't, because no sooner than we hit the road, Isabella dozes off. Despite my foul mood, I still end up suppressing a laughter once the first sounds of her breathing fill the car. Oh.
Not your mom, Isabella.
Slow and steady, the quiet rhythm so completely unlike her, so far removed from every impressions anyone has of her. A few faint whimpers will occasionally come from her, but otherwise it's just us, this silence, and it's so utterly unexpected. Still a welcome break, of course. Peace and quiet is one thing you'll rarely get with her around. Yet it's nowhere near comforting. It merely lends the air this strange clarity. Every little sound, every single movement more palpable, and with it comes the unease. A gentle surprise hits me, and it's almost comical if this were a different situation. In my haste, I accidentally dislodge my mobile from its seat on the dashboard when I swiped on the screen. Soon I'm scrambling blindly for it with my other hand while keeping a steady eye on the road ahead. A voice crackles from the loudspeakers before I can put it back. Rose? Although muffled heavily by the surface, I recognize the person on the other line from her chipper tone alone.
Hello? Miss Cooper?
Oh, you're still awake. Evening. I hope I didn't disturb you or anything. I know it's a bit late. Sorry about that. I just want to check on you and Isabella. That girl's still not answering her mobile.
I don't like how this keeps cutting in and out.
Were you able to meet up with her?
It's getting worse.
Yes. She's with me. We're on our way home.
Hello? What was that again? I can't hear you properly.
Sorry. Let me just fix this dumb phone.
Yeah. My hand stops dead for a moment. I spare the device a brief glance, waiting. Seconds pass. Nothing happens, though. Frankly, I'm not sure what I'm expecting, but the lines on my mouth form into a frown regardless.
Miss Cooper?
Yes, still here.
Did you say something?
Just that I didn't get the last part. What were you saying again?
No, I thought you... Never mind. Must be the signal acting up. Come again?
What?
Hold on. Okay, that gave me a proper spook. I think my dog jumped on something in the living room. Come lay down. I don't know what he was doing, but he made some loud noise and it freaked me out because obviously we're on this creepy phone call right now. So I brought him over here with me, so hopefully he doesn't do any more jumping around and stuff because, oh my god, that was kind of... I literally felt my heart skip a beat and I was just like, I'm gonna die. But I didn't die.
Is everything all right over there?
Lord.
Certainly. Is something wrong? Why wouldn't... Okay, you seem to be busy. If this is a good time, I can just call you back some,
I had to make a conscious effort not to panic right then and there, although my tight hold on the steering wheel tells a different story altogether.
Miss Cooper? Rose? Hey, Rose! Are you still there?
Only a burst of static answers me, and... maybe this lapse is entirely because of exhaustion. It has been a long day, and I haven't fully recovered from last week's bout of the flu, contrary to what I've been telling people. Though perhaps, had I paid closer attention to it, I had not been so occupied with other thoughts, I probably would have noticed earlier that it never came from my phone. Oh god. But from somewhere right behind me. Oh god. Hello? Time slows to a crawl. Looking up is a mistake. The first thing I see is its face, ghastly shade, every inch battered, bruised, and bloodied. Even in the darkness and the world passing by and the blur of lights outside, I can still make out the wounds. Blood still oozes from it, like little trails of crimson running down its face, glistening under what little light there is. But it is the gleam in its eyes that catches mine. The quiet plea, the anguish, and the desperation in them. More of its hideous features and the awful stench of gore now soaking the air. And try as I might, I can't bring myself to look away, even as its lips contort into a horrific smile. Even as a sharp, harsh noise pierces the air in the silence around us.
Huh? Car! Eyes on the road!
How did Isabella wake up? Against everything I've been taught, I've constantly reminded myself I close my eyes. It's a brief moment, a short, vivid second of muscle memory and instinct completely taking over. And if I didn't allow it, if my hands didn't move or my feet didn't hit the brakes in that exact second, Isabella and I might have... I shake the notion away before I lose myself in it. Right now it's an ugly line of thought I refuse to venture into, not when breathing is a struggle and every ounce of strength has been totally drained from my body. Most definitely not while Isabella's panicked voice beside me still rings in my ears. We're alive. We're safe, and that's all that matters. But it is not her face that I look for when I finally open my eyes. All gone. I expected stains, little telling marks and creases on the covers to show me where it sat not a second ago. But whatever it is, it left not a single trace. And though courage is hard a thing to gather at this point, I take what little of it remains in me and turn towards the back seat. Even then, there's none. ... Or was there really something there in the first place? With how empty it is, I'm beginning to doubt it. This stupid flu again.
I need a long rest after this.
Okay, computer, please don't give me notifications right now, first of all. Second of all, what type of flu... Sorry, just grabbing my phone. What type of flu causes you to see things like this? Like, I get some type of seeing things, but this is weird. My hands fall uselessly to my sides, numb from how taut my grip on the wheel has gone, yet still trembling from the unexpected rush of adrenaline. Against my ears, my heart still pounds an erratic rhythm, and my breathing hasn't slowed down. But the world has already righted itself without waiting for me, and little by little, second by second, as I sit here motionless, color begins to seep back around me. Along with it are the sounds of and a voice, no longer the indistinct ringing it was earlier.
Becca, are you okay? Answer me, will you? You're scaring me. You know what? I think we should just call a taxi since...
Can you keep it down?
Strained, harsh, and completely unintentional, but with heat prickling at the back of my eyes and my mind throbbing at my temple, I could honestly do with a little silence for now.
Keep it down? We almost crashed, Becca.
Thank you, Belle. Please yell at her.
I know what happened. It was a lapse. I'm sorry.
A lapse? You call that a lapse? Becca, I really don't want to end up a mangled mess on the side of the road, or a mangled mess anywhere. All I'm asking, if the time ever comes, which I hope isn't right now, is a peaceful death. Give that one to me at least. Not that I'm asking for it, but please.
I think that's kind of what happens in the version where she dies / gets in a coma. She is a mangled mess. But she imagines that it's Becca holding her, so she's at peace until the last second when she realizes it's the ghost. At least that's from what I could tell with the pictures and stuff that I've seen. So it's really a lot of foreshadowing here that is really unfortunate.
Isabella. Belle, you're overreacting. If you're so worried, why don't you drive?
Don't have a license.
I keep telling you to get one, didn't I? For the past 5 years. Do you see why now?
If she had one back in Singapore? No. Where is she from? Oh my god, Philippines. It's actually pretty easy to get one when you're in a different country, I've heard, so.
I wasn't really expecting to stay here this long.
That's true.
I thought it'd just be for a year or two.
All of a sudden, a pensive mood comes over her. Isabella looks away then, while what's left of my little lecture never crosses the tip of my tongue. I don't allow it to, because in each of those words she let loose earlier is a small truth. Her stay has always been meant to be something of fleeting. Earn some good money, go home. It's what she'd tell herself during her first year here. Now, half a decade later, I'm not sure if she still believes that. Even I'm not sure if I still believe that. And if there's something in her reasons that has changed along the way, even if I already have a hunch, it's one thing I'll never bother to ask. Those are hers to
I'll
keep.
be careful this time, I promise. Just please, can we give this whole thing a rest for now?
She nods, and that's the end of it. We spend the rest of the trip back to Salemwell in silence. That's where they live. That's a weird name. All thoughts of an overactive imagination playing tricks on a flu-addled mind, and of smiles never meant for my eyes abandoned if only for a brief moment. ... Tuesday. The next day. Story updated. Let's see. Timeline. The letter. New. Oh, with Kylie. That's a cute drawing. Oh, wait. That was also new. While waiting, they overhear it. I'm surprised it doesn't say that she saw the weird thing hanging on Luke. Wait, is that supposed to be Rose? That does not look like Rose at all. It looks more like Isabella. That's weird. And then more and more. And then after watching Blue Foncé, Isabella tried making small talk. And on the way home, Rebecca glimpsed something suspicious. It was sus. Sitting at the back of the... So sus, guys. So sus. Wait, is that it? That's definitely it. Oh, wait. I wanted to look at the branching tree, too. We got through here. Now we are... Oh! Oh, wait. This is the first one. It's not that long. And this one is longer. And this one is longer. So I got the shortest one. Yay! It begins innocently enough. Tuesday morning arrives like any other day before it, bright and clear. Even though it comes with extra helping of unusual October weather, I appreciate being able to catch a glimpse of the clear skies lately. After going through a bout of sickness last week, it does something to lift the mood off of what otherwise would be a dreary morning. She keeps saying she was sick last week, but she's clearly still sick, so she needs to just say she's sick. She's very much in denial about everything in her life, huh? Just because it doesn't go her way. Despite being mostly a creature of habit, I wind up waking up earlier than usual because of it. Still no earlier than Isabella, it seems. I've assumed she'll take a day or two off because of what happened to Miss Cooper, but that doesn't seem to be the case. The sound of the morning news drifts from our unit when I walk past it on my way to the mailbox. Chances are around this area she's already dressed and ready to go, probably just waiting for the next bus to arrive. I've tried following her example before, but I don't think I'll be repeating that.
Really? How can anyone be up before the sun is up?
I agree. It's a habit she got from home, she said, instilled in her by the kind of life she grew up in. Like clockwork, it's always at 4 a.m., either to help with the chores or prepare her little siblings for school. It surprised me the first time. She just didn't look like someone who could. In the end, I've simply passed it off as one of the many things anyone will have to get used to around her. Not that I'll ever fully understand. I'm my parents' only child. We aren't well off, but so far I've lived a relatively easy life. I didn't have to think about bills or food for the next day, or paying for any of my siblings' tuitions on top of my own, or supporting a sick father's medication. All I have to worry about were my grades, if I'd gain Mom and Dad's approval, or whatever we'd be having for dinner. Or what we'd be having for dinner. What's it called? I was thinking about it more so too because Isabella does have to send money back for her dad. And at the same time, Marianne, who's the other like artistic person in this group, also has to take care of her sick dad. So I think it's really cool that Isabella and Marianne are the most similar in terms of their growing. Basically, they both have really had bad, hard childhoods and such. But they're the most similar in those regards, and yet Marianne was totally like, there's no way I can talk to Isabella. But Isabella was just so friendly with her that it actually got them to get closer. So it just goes to show that you can be really similar and have a lot of similar things in common with people that you don't even know, even if your personalities are totally different. And you can still give a chance to try and get to know people. When put next to hers, they all pale in comparison. They look less like problems and more like petty issues this way. Yeah, you're right.
Petty issues.
That is literally Rebecca. But as unimportant as it all sounds, sometimes its ugly head rears at the most inappropriate moments. And sometimes they come through your mailbox in the form of a fancy-looking letter, pretty ribbons and all. Whoever sent this has spent silly money on the envelope alone. Hannah Wright, I'm assuming? Verging on ridiculous, really. I can already imagine Isabella wrinkling her nose when she sees this. Then she'll complain about unnecessary expenses and rich people problems. I'm almost afraid to touch it myself, as if simply brushing a hand against the crisp surface will be enough to put a crease on it, and it'll be a terrible slight to the sender. But as extravagant as I find this, it isn't really the first time I've received one. Most of the time, it's not even for me, so who am I to complain? Either way, no look of surprise crosses my face once I flip the envelope over to see my parents' name written in a neat script.
Nothing new, then.
Their years in the academe naturally brought with various connections, people from other fields, art, science, business, politics, you name it. This one, though, gives off a much more personal vibe. Letters like this usually come from old students, people who've grown fond of my parents, and they in turn treat like their own children. I've only met a few of them. Most of them had moved on to become successful in their chosen careers, and little letters like this are their way of expressing gratitude. It's one thing Mom and Dad are proud of, rightfully so, and I'm happy for them. But there are times that I wish that they'll remember that they have a daughter here, the real one. Not that any of that is importance now. It's not like they didn't raise me and provided for me. They did, and I wouldn't be where I am now if it weren't for any of their hard work. And like a dutiful child, I do everything I can to give back. Even if it's a small thing like letting them know they've got another mail waiting for them. The phone rings a good minute before someone answers. Mom, her voice warm as I remember.
Hi, Mum. How's the conference going?
Well enough. Until your dad sprained his ankle.
Oh, sorry. Yes, it is an interesting visual novel. Legendary anime fan. I love the name. Love the name. Yeah, it's interesting. It's supposed to be in England, but I'm pretty sure the developers are in Japan for this game. Fairly certain. But I do appreciate the variety of characters in it.
Oh no, is it bad?
I'm alright. In case anyone in this family cares to listen, I'm alright. Very much alive, darling.
And there you have it. He'll be up and walking in a few weeks, don't worry. We're going to have to extend our stay here until it heals, though. Is something the matter?
Nothing big. Just that this mail arrived for you this morning.
A lie, thankfully she doesn't notice. Although, if I'm going to be honest, a small part of me yearns for her to do so and ask me about it, but I put down that idea almost as soon as it surfaces. I shouldn't make them fret, they're busy.
What does it say?
Raise your glasses, give cheers to the good times, blah blah.
You're cordially invited.
Becca manners. That isn't how I taught you to read.
Jeez, Mom.
Sorry, you are cordially... it's an invitation, Mum, for a housewarming party. From, Hana?
Ermengarde Mansion I saw on it. The name rings a bell, though at the moment I can't recall when or where I've heard it recently. It must be nothing too important if I didn't bother committing it to memory. There are a lot of Hannahs in the world, so who knows?
Hana?
She also wrote you a note, Mum. It says you used to be her private tutor at the Evans mansion, and that she misses you and would love to see you two again.
How about Rebecca focus on fixing the relationship with her parents before she tries to date anyone? Because clearly the problems with her parents are seeping into how she views a relationship should be with the guy she has a crush on. It makes my heart clench to read another openly say those words to them, the same ones that I want to tell them. I want to see you too. It's been years since we've been together as a family, and if there's one thing that hasn't changed from childhood, it's that Mom and Da are always busy with their respective careers. Out of the contrary, away on some meeting or symposium, sometimes for months on end. It only grew more frequent with the years until I'm old enough to live on my own. I'd like to think that's how I've become independent at such an early age. They've always praised me for that. At times, I wish they didn't.
Oh, I remember now. Honey, it's Hannah. Hannah Evans. Remember? Bright girl, 2 years older than Becca?
Didn't she get married a few years ago? 7 now, I think. But, they grow up so fast, these kids.
Yeah, she invited us to that too. Fonte de Medici.
Did they actually
But we
go?
missed that one because you had to present your paper in Singapore.
We did send her a note after. Still a shame we couldn't attend, though.
Dang, they really are busy.
What is it about this time?
She sent another invite for a housewarming party. Becca, when is it?
This Friday, Mum.
Oh, that's too bad. We'd love to be there, but Da's not in a condition to go walking around.
Fair.
I guess we'd have to decline again. I really miss that girl.
I could go in your place.
I let it slip without thinking. Personally, I've never been fond of gatherings, regardless of how simple people make it seem. But if there's one thing I hate hearing, that disappointed note in Mom's voice always ranks first. Whether it's directed at me or at some other thing doesn't matter.
Are you sure? Don't you have work this Friday?
The event will be in the evening, Mum. It shouldn't take anything away from my schedule. It's all right.
Schedule?
The invite's for 2 people. I can bring someone with me so things don't get boring.
I see. Maybe you can also invite Ashton?
Mum, that's a sure no from him. He hates attending parties.
But he'll go because he thinks Luke is a murderer.
But I'll see what I can do. If not, I can always bring Isabella with me. You know her. She won't say no if there's food involved.
She'll say no because it's the Ermengarde crazy mansion.
Okay, if it's not going to be a big problem for you, I don't see why not. We owe you this one, darling.
No problem, Mum. I'll even say hi to Hana for you.
Please do. And let her know we'd love to see her once we're back in the city. Leave her our number or something.
I will.
But you know, the two of you would have become really good friends. Don't you remember? You met with her once. If my memory serves me right, you were 12 then?
This too, I can't recall. It's probably one of those meetings where we only talked a bit before going our ways. If she did leave an impression, I'm pretty sure I would have written about it somewhere, or at least recognized her name. As it is, only a few people I remember clearly from that time in my life is Ashton and Mandy, to some extent. Who's Mandy? That's mysterious. So mysterious. Mom must have sensed my confusion because she laughs.
Don't push yourself too hard, darling. Really? It felt like having 2 daughters back then. Sometimes I wish they didn't send her away to boarding school. But, well, you know how often that goes with them. Still, try talking to her while you're there.
Oh, we'll see. I'll let you know what happens after.
I'm looking forward to it, darling. Take care of yourself.
Will do. You too, Mom. Bye. Tell Da to be careful next time.
She chuckles, then, a hearty one, tender and always light to my ears. She may be a stern teacher, but this is part of her that I love the most. The sound of it still echoes even as our call comes to an abrupt end, bringing with it a memory from so many years ago, when life and responsibilities that accompany adulthood are things far from our minds. If given the chance, I'd love to go back to those. I don't dwell on it, though, shaking it all away almost as soon as the memory forms a clear picture in my head. I've always wondered how Isabella can easily pretend everything's normal over a phone call, then bounce back to her usual self immediately after. I've seen her do it plenty of times. For me, it just drains whatever energy I have. And with a whole day of teaching still ahead of me, I can't afford to look exhausted in front of my students. That's how I feel whenever I am on phone calls. It's so exhausting. Granted, that's how I feel talking to people in general, which is funny because I live stream, which is talking to people. But this isn't as exhausting as... It's not like work, you know, it's more enjoyable. Even for a wee bit, it's never a good example to set. So with another sigh, I put everything in the back of my mind and trend back to my room. The rest of the day awaits. ... 15 minutes later, and I'm heading back out, dressed for the day, my car keys in hand. Ordinarily, I don't stop for anything. There's never a need to. That's the beauty of this apartment complex. It's quiet, and everyone keeps to themselves. No useless platitudes in the morning, no need to wear a smile on your face, lest other people are noisy enough to ask. Today, however, the morning broadcast still plays from Isabella's room. My brisk pace slows to a stop, and a frown gradually forms in my face.
She hasn't left.
Of course, this isn't unusual. There are times when I've left earlier than she did, like last Friday before the open house. But those days are few and far between. It only happens in the direst of circumstances, though the last part of that might be an exaggeration. However, with what's happened in the last few days, maybe today is one. The death of a friend isn't something anyone can brush off, and for someone like Isabella... Oh, is this the day after Rose died? We skipped that far ahead? I think it did say Tuesday. Shoot, so yeah. Rose is dead. Oh. Isabella's the kind who gets attached to people easily. With Zachary Ashton and I has been the case. I can't imagine what she's been going through right now, especially when the woman was someone she owed a lot to, despite their training being brief. I'd given her the space last night in deference, but perhaps today might be the proper time to check on her?
Whatever. I've still got time anyway.
With light steps, I move closer to her door, hand already poised to knock. Still, I don't do so until I hear her answer
Isabella?
me.
Belle? Are you in there?
No answer. After a second, I finally knock, lightly, so I don't disturb her, in case she's sleeping and has merely left the telly running last night. Never mind how she never lets that happen, ever. Waste of electricity and all.
I just want to check on you before I leave. Is that okay? Are you going to work today, Belle?
Still nothing.
I'm about to leave. If you want, I can drop you off.
Another round of knocking. Then I'm fishing out a copy of her key from my bag and unlocking the door. She lent it years ago after I complained about the mess and offered my help in cleaning it up. Isn't this the day that we went to... Isn't Monday the day? Yeah. So she's at Zach's house, so why is her TV on? There's no way she left it on. I thought the gesture was completely unnecessary back then. After all, I could always knock. Is there a ghost in there right now? But she never did bother taking them from me, and always returning it or turning away from the conversation whenever I insist. At one point, I've simply stopped trying to hand it back
Isabella?
to her.
I'm coming in, all right?
Without waiting for her answer, I push the door open and step inside. Oh no, I guess she did leave it on. Our unit's still a mess. Instant noodle cups on the table, pile of clothes on the side, papers strewn about everywhere, an unkempt bed, amongst other things. This is much as a given, and will always be a given. I've been here several times already, and I still wonder how she can function like a human being and with a place in this state. However, that's neither here nor there. I'm not sure what I'm expecting, but it's certainly not finding an empty flat. Granted, she could have left earlier, far earlier than usual, but she never leaves without making sure she's unplugged everything. That's something she doesn't forget to do. It doesn't help that her bathroom appears unused this morning. Another habit that and it can only mean she hasn't been here since last night. Perhaps even the morning after Miss Cooper's death. Either idea doesn't sit well with me. What with the news we've been hearing
The
lately.
authorities are still trying to find the cause of death for all the victims. Early investigation revealed most of them were employed under Briar Realty Corporation at the time of death.
Yeah. So all the missing
Meanwhile, BRC has refused to comment on this.
employees. Gathering my wits, I immediately place a call to her mobile. It rings a good minute with the sound of comfort in itself, but when another minute rolls by without her answering, well, I'm not a woman prone to panicking. Sudden bounce of temper, maybe, but never panic, despite how I may sound when speaking. And when it ultimately goes straight to her voicemail, a sigh is the only thing I let out. The pause doesn't last long, though. In the next moment, my fingers are already moving across the screen in search of the two people who might be able to help. Ashton's number I find first and dial. Call it a habit, but even Isabella thinks he's dependable when the situation calls for it, despite how much they give each other grief. That already says a lot about him. There's Zachary, but around this hour, he's probably still sleeping. If he has freelance work, it's very likely he's just gotten himself in bed. He's the last person I want to bother, if anything. The wait doesn't take long. Soon a click and Ashton's voice echoes through the receiver, rough and still heavy with sleep. He never did grow fond of mornings.
Christ, what time is it? What's up?
Not you, apparently.
Good one. Did you call us early just to make that joke? I'm going back to sleep.
No, Ash, hold on. This is important.
Becca, stakeout last night. Make this quick. I've still got a few hours before the chief bothers me.
Sorry, I'll let you go back to sleep after. It's just that... Wait, you were on a stakeout last night?
Yeah.
Did I say that? Shit. Forget I said that. Forget I said anything. Forget we had this conversation.
So, you have no idea?
About what? About what? I also have no idea why we're talking so early in the morning, so there's that.
Not again with the phone getting messed up.
No, will you stop sleep talking or whatever for a second? Belle didn't come home last night. She's gone.
Who?
Isabella!
Instead of an answer, a brief pause comes after, followed by something blunt and heavy hitting a hard surface and a string of rather colorful curses from him. What is that yell? The moment might have been one of many things I'll keep to myself and remember fondly in the next few days if things aren't the way they are. When he picks up again, there's no trace of sleep left in his voice.
Say that again, from the top.
Isabella's gone, Ash. She didn't come home last night. Her flat's empty. She left her telly running. You know she doesn't do that at...
Okay, Becca, stop. Calm down first. You're starting to panic.
Yeah?
I'm not!
You are. Breathe. One person's not going to simply disappear like that. This is Isabella we're talking about.
She just disappeared.
What did you think is the first thing I did? She's not picking up. It went to her voicemail.
How about Zach? Did you check with him?
Not yet. I didn't want to bother him. You know he has trouble sleeping and all that.
Oh, Rebecca does know about that, but she doesn't know about the pills that Zach
All right,
takes.
I'll go ask Zach. I'll call you back.
No, wait!
He ends the phone call before I can utter a single word of protest. Jerk! But for the first time since entering his room, tension is gone from my shoulders and my breathing has eased. The bed creaks as I sink down on it with a sigh. The telly still blares the same uninteresting news, and I'm surrounded by clutter. All the same, it feels strangely calm to be here without worry nagging at me. I'll have to apologize to Zachary later for sending Ashton his way this early, but for now, relying on the latter for this isn't the wrong choice. It never will be. That's something I won't ever doubt in him, much like his promises. And true to his word, he calls back only a few minutes after the last one has ended.
Oh, I'm so glad to hear that. She could have at least sent a message last night.
My dog is being weird. Come lay down. Why do you have to stand over there and stare at me? Just lay down. You're scaring me, dude. Oh.
What are you, her mother?
Thank you, Ash. It's one thing to hear that from Isabella, but from Ashton?
I don't want to hear anything like that from you.
I'm serious. You've got to stop treating her like she's one of your students, Becca. You don't have to keep tabs on her every time.
Yeah.
Last I checked, she's only 3 years younger than the two of us. That's almost a decade gap from those kids you're teaching, you know.
So he is 29 as well. Interesting.
Says the person who keeps calling her scaredy cat.
It's because he's flirting, Becca. Don't you know how to flirt? I highly doubt she knows how to flirt. I like her.
That's not related at all.
It's because I like her.
Anyway, I'll go check how she's doing. Don't stress yourself
Wait, you? Don't you have a precinct to be at?
It's 5 a.m.
Whatever happened to not treating her like one of my students? Because if anyone's going to ask me, I think you're doing the same thing.
Not like a student. He likes her. Becca, how dense can a girl be?
Zach said it's an emergency. Something happened last night.
Emergency?
He didn't put in those exact same words, but it sounded like it.
Ash, what really happened? Is Isabella fine?
Well, if she was dead, Zach would have already said that.
She's alright. She's safe. Zach let her stay the night after she... Look, okay. Z-Man wasn't clear about it, but let me handle this. I'll check on her. I'll bring her home.
It sounds like a lie if ever I've heard one. The sort where he admits things so people won't fret, and I'm not sure whether I should be happy that he cares that much to do that. There shouldn't be a need for this between us, is there? We grew up together, didn't we? He knows I'm capable of at least hearing out the truth without it gnawing at me for the rest of the day. He knows me better than that. I know him better than that. Frankly, there's plenty of other things to say about this, but despite and after all the trouble he went through with how things are moving at the moment, the only one thought to me occurs. Save! I don't want the relationship to get too high because I don't want Ash to be with her. So I don't want to go past that line just in case. Unless I can avoid the kiss part. You know what I mean? I'm gonna look it up. How to make sure Ashton and Rebecca don't get together. The letter, horror, visual novel. That was a mouthful to type out. Click. Click. Let's see what Steam has to say in the forum. Luke, Rebecca, Luke, Hannah, Luke, Marianne, Hannah, Zach, Hannah, Marianne, Ash, Rebecca, Ash, Isabella. Ash and Isabella, I mean, Zach and Isabella could have been a couple. That would have been cute, honestly. He rejected Becca's confession and then was rejected. Pairs I had actually been trying for was Ash with Becca or Isabella, but the relationships weren't high enough. I just need to make sure a relationship is low. Relationship bars aren't, if you want to get a rejection scene for either Bella and Becca, then you just have to make sure that their relationship bars aren't maxed. It doesn't have to be negative per se for them to reject the confession, just don't max it out. If Becca and Ash have a high-ish relationship bar, then she'll take the rejection well. If it's very low, then it's negative. If Bella and Ash have a high-ish relationship, then Ash will take the rejection well. But if Bella and Ash's relationship bar is, then Ash won't confess. Got it. Okay. Okay, so I can still do it. I saved, right? I did save. Okay, now we're at least at the line. I want them to at least have a decent relationship. I don't want them to hate each other in the end, you know? And I have to get my freaking thing back up. Hold up. Hold up. Let me get my chat box back up. Okay, cool. I recognize his concern for what it is. Concern? It's not new for him to go out of his way for us, and to be honest, this is what I love about him. She said the L word. As much as I would have loved to take this off his hands, it'd only be selfish of me to insist, considering he knows about my other commitments. To do so feels like I'll be trampling on that kindness he seldom offers to anyone.
Sorry for putting you up to this.
Nah, don't mention it. You've got other things you need to worry about. Take care of those first. This is a small thing.
I still owe you one.
It's not that small.
Oh, I can name a few things you can do about that. You know, there's this ice cream shop that opened near the movie house. I could use...
Okay, let's stop right there. That's enough.
So he just loves ice cream. Got it.
Second thought. Maybe I'll just think about it some other time.
Harsh.
We both laughed, the sound lighter and more comfortable, like the old days, when a wayward 26-year-old is at the bottom of the list we need to worry about. This is how we find common ground. We may not agree on a lot of things, and we may see things the way the other does, but we give and take is something we've learned to get used to over the years. Whenever it's like this, confidence in him is the least I can offer as thanks.
Really? Thanks for this, Ash.
I'll let you know what happened afterwards, I promise. I'll call you later. You have a good day. Bye.
I admit it, the way he puts it isn't comforting enough. He can be blunt like that. So many unknown variables, so many words left unsaid. I wish he'd simply lay them out all in the open, because like this, I'm more inclined to think there's an exaggeration on the other's part. If it's from Zachary or Ashton, I don't know. In the end, all I can do is wait, go about my day, and hope for the best. Before leaving, I spare Isabella's room one last glance, disturbingly quiet now without her in it. I'll get answers from her later. For now, my concerns are best left here. The rest of the day slips away in a blur. Despite my best efforts in keeping this morning's events away from surfacing in my mind, it sticks. In a way, everything today simply feels like a reminder. Every conversation, regardless of how casual, every topic, no matter how mundane it seems. I blame the news entirely for this. Recent happenings brought quite a few interesting stories to everyone's attention, mostly superstition and the talk of death. And when locals talk of death here, anyone can sure as hell count on someone bringing up the mansion Isabella sold not a few weeks ago. Even my own students won't stop yapping about it. I think it's even worse than when it was put up back on the market. Now there are more stories. If this is the world reminding me of what matters, or simply because the atmosphere around this time of the year calls for it, I'd rather take the latter. But at least I can be sure people will forget about it in favor of another set of holidays after. Nevertheless, this may be a painful thing to admit, but listening to them is a pleasant distraction while waiting for Ashton's call. I hope he didn't forget. The school day's about to end.
That's got nothing with what I heard.
You always hear stuff. I'm not sure if half of them's even real.
That's a very famous voice actor that I think she's in Orion High School Host Club for sure, but I don't know what else.
No, really. Rowan knows about it. He used to be in the same class with them.
Talking about the missing students who we saw in the videotape got attacked by the ghost when they went to the mansion.
I can hear you from back here, you know. Whatever, Rowan. Anyway, the story goes like this. There were 3 of them. They entered the mansion on a dare, and they were all never seen again. No one knows what happened to them. Up to this day.
Well, Marianne knows.
Scary shit, man.
Scary shit.
Cock and bull story. Calling it now.
No, you don't get it. Why don't you ask Miss Gales then? Better yet, why don't you go inside the place? I'm betting my allowance you can't do it.
The house is owned now. Don't go in. Their talk immediately halts when I look up, all of them suddenly pretending to be engrossed in their current activity. Still, a word to put a stopper to the nonsense is needed. Creativity and imagination fostered by these stories is one thing, but reckless ideas should be corrected before anything potentially tragic comes from
Back to your worksheets, everyone. And I don't want to hear any talk of dares or going inside that mansion. It's private property now.
Yeah.
You'd all better stay away from it before...
Hello? At the noise, the whole of them goes silent. You can almost hear a pin drop. The look on their faces would have made for a funny picture, but that's irrelevant at the moment. If that is a student loitering around, someone's going to be in trouble.
I'll be back. If you're done, you can leave your worksheets on my desk. Keep the noise to a minimum while I'm gone, okay?
I can sense their eyes on me as I walk out the door. A muted kind of anticipation. A bit unnerving, but it's far more agreeable than the feeling of being watched I've been enduring these past few days. Oh, God. Class is still in session for most of the rooms. In a few hours, once the final bell rings, however, this place will once again be filled with busy chatter and footballs, an everyday cycle of life. But for the moment, I let the silence guide me, my ears focusing on whatever sounds there are, or there will be, searching for that distinct clanging of metal. A good minute passes, and for the portion of it, only my steps echo through the halls. And another? I'm about to turn around when the sound of it halts my footsteps. It's a little muffled and infrequent, but grows louder after each interval. With the hallway devoid of people, if I don't put a stop to it soon, it'll start to disturb the other classes still going on. Looking for it doesn't take long. All I do is follow the racket, and shortly I'm standing in front of a nondescript row of unoccupied lockers. And from inside one of them, sitting in the middle, comes a noise, annoyingly disruptive now that I'm facing it. Like someone's pounding on the metal from the inside, hoping to get out. Leaning forward, I try to get a glimpse through the horizontal slats of whatever's causing it. But in this light, only darkness greets me and another round of clanging. Louder than the previous one, more desperate. I've heard stories before from other schools and from other colleagues who had to deal with it once or twice, although personally I've never encountered one myself, and I can only thank the heavens I haven't yet, but...
If this is another kid some other student stuffed in a locker.
I don't know if a student can fit in these lockers. It's not like a full, tall locker. It's a short one. It'd have to be like Kylie. With a huff, I straighten up and study it briefly with a frown. Without delay, I reach for the handle and at once it stops. Immediately replaced by the muffled sound of my mobile phone ringing. I give the door a few raps before taking my attention away. A second. Another. When nothing or no one responds, I finally avert my eyes and pull out my mobile. Ashton's voice greets me from the other end of the line, oddly cheerful in light of his morning matters. Or maybe because I'm expecting some grave or serious news from him. Instead, I get this.
Hey, Becca.
Well, you sound happy.
I do? My voice still sounds the same to me.
Nah, he's happy. He got to spend time with Isabella. There are only two things I know that could be the reason for that tone. Sweets, or he's gotten a good lead in his case. Well, he had a good breakfast. It wasn't really sweet, but yeah. From the sound of it, I'm going to assume it's the former, since lately that case is all that's running inside his head. If there's ever a third one, I've never heard of it yet. It can only be one of two.
Ignore that. How's Isabella?
Drove her home a few minutes ago. I think she's sleeping now.
She's not dead, thank God. Oh, we're still in this section? I thought we'd be done with it by now. I'm not even halfway through, and I've been doing this for an hour and a half for her. Oh my God, Rebecca. Rebecca.
Sorry this took a while. Z-Man gave us the puppy eyes after we tried to leave. Had some food prepared for us, apparently.
So did Bella. Yeah, Bella was the one who made you stay, not Z-Man, so he needs to stop lying, but okay.
That's all right. Is she okay now?
I'm not really sure. She didn't say anything to Zach, but she mentioned a plan to take a few days off from work.
I mean, she has money now.
It was a passing comment before I left her, so I didn't get to ask.
Must be because of Rose's death.
Could be. It doesn't seem like it from Zach's story, though. He said she was shaking when she got there.
Shaking?
The word triggers a memory from 3 days ago on the way home from her little treat after she sold the mansion. I didn't think much of it at the time, but I won't lie, it scared me. That terrified look on her face, how she sounded when she suddenly screamed.
Still there?
Yeah, I just remembered something. Sorry, don't mind me.
Look, if you can talk to her, get the story out of her. That would be great. She wouldn't talk to Zach or me even when I tried. Maybe she'll speak up if it's you?
I doubt it.
I'll give it a go, but I can't promise anything, okay? You know how stubborn she can get. But thanks for letting me know about this. If you want, I can get you that ice cream thing you mentioned tonight. As thanks.
What a flirt.
Just as thanks for all the trouble I've caused today.
Believe me, I'd love to take you up on that offer, but I've got something on my schedule this evening. Maybe some other time? Thanks a lot, Becca.
There's a short pause before he cuts the call from his end, and once again I'm alone with my thoughts. But rather than answers, all I got from it are questions, more of them one on top of the other, as if the world isn't planning to give me a break anytime soon. But that's a problem I'll tackle later. Right now I've got students who need to be taught follies of eavesdropping if the slightly open door and their smothered laughter from inside is an indication.
All right, enough eavesdropping. All of you, back to your seats.
Is that your boyfriend, Miss Gales?
Okay, Kylie's voice and an older student.
None of your business.
No, but she wants it to be.
Is.
A quick scuffle follows the comment. If there's a retort prepared at the tip of my tongue, I drop every pretense of letting it loose on them. There's no use arguing with teenagers sometimes, boisterous as they all are. They're still my kids, though. Rough around the edges, maybe, but still my kids. Shaking my head, I head back to the classroom with a smile, but not before taking a glance at the locker again. It hasn't made a noise since.
Oh, must be the wind.
The wind knocks on the lockers from the inside. So without another look, I leave it alone. Oh God, that scared me. Did she see that? Did she see that? Or was that just for me? What the hell was that? Was that just for me or was that for her? All in all, the entire school day ends without a hitch. It could have gone better, mind you, but with the exams nearing, getting out of work before the sun has set looks as though it's a far-off dream right now. At least until they're over, then we have the holidays to look forward to. There really are times when you simply take what you can get for the time being.
Nothing wrong with that.
All I'm hoping for is that they'll continue until the whole day ends. There's still that promise I made to Ashton, and frankly, the idea alone doesn't sound good. If Isabella didn't talk to them, what makes them think she'll talk to me? It's not like there's a hierarchy, is there? Just because I can handle Isabella's childish tendencies doesn't mean I can't do it all the time.
Really, those two give me too much credit.
Nevertheless, I am keeping my fingers crossed, if only because I'm also worried about her, and both Zachary and Ashton deem it important that somebody get the story out of her. Here's to hoping it's got nothing to do with that letter again. I understand if she feels a bit stressed lately, but keeping that story going on for more than a week is, it's bound to get tiring at one point. Seriously, I really don't want this to be an end of another argument. God willing, the cafe special will help smoothen things out. After all, it's always been food with her, or money, but mostly food. That didn't even say laugh, but okay. At this hour, the cafe is usually filled to the brim with people. That's the reason Isabella and I rarely ever go here during the evenings. It's simply too much of a hassle when we can prepare food ourselves in the comfort of our own homes. And there really isn't much reason to eat out. What with life being on a busy streak. No time for long lines, better spend that doing something productive, yes?
Lucky there isn't one tonight.
Only a few people are idling around the counter. 4 of them, in fact. A woman in her 60s, a teenager busy with his phone. Both are just waiting to be served their orders. The other 2, a posh-looking man and a child who I immediately recognize as Kylie, appear to have not yet picked anything they want. And I feel the footsteps from my neighbors. For some reason, my stare lingers at the guy. Though dressed relatively well and looks harmless, I haven't seen him around these parts before. You don't belong in these parts, sir. Someone new to the neighborhood, perhaps? Even so, there's something familiar about him. It feels like I've seen him somewhere before. That also begs the question as to why Kylie is with him. Of course, the girl easily takes a liking to anyone who buys her sweets, so it's both a bit worrisome and unsurprising. The blonde bloke doesn't look particularly thrilled with the company, though. I turn my eyes away from them soon enough that once the guy at the counter appears ready to take my order. That, and I'd also hate to be accused of ogling strangers.
Evening special. Take out.
He's already punching the order before I even finish. Saying my order out loud is really more formality's sake than made out of habit. He has known Isabel and I long enough that if we ever drop by here, he already knows it's always because I'm buying dinner for the 2 of us. I rarely visit here alone if I can help it, but Isabella can sometimes be a bad influence. He gives me a small smile before leaving to prepare my order while I finish for my wallet when...
Little ankle biter. If I buy you the biggest parfait they have, will you please behave?
Ankle biter.
I would just like 10 minutes of peace and quiet.
You said you'll get me some bread pudding this time.
Yeah, well, darling, they said they ran out of it. Just pick another one so we can be on our way.
Their parfait doesn't look as cute as the one my mom bought me.
Oh my goodness.
Parfait is just ice cream, sweetheart. It'll melt no matter how dainty it appears. In the end, it'll all look like an ugly puddle.
I mean, yeah.
Now, come on, just pick one. It could even be the most expensive one on that list. I don't give a shit. I don't care. What I would give for someone to buy you off my hands right now.
Oh, what a baby. What? My whole attention instantly snaps back to them and their conversation. Jumping to conclusions isn't something I'm particularly fond of, especially when all I have are baseless assumptions, but you can't really trust a stranger these days. No one around the cafe seems to have noticed his words either. Very suspicious words. Still, I don't move, yet, but my hand has already shifted from my wallet to the book I'm carrying. A hardbound textbook looks harmless, but if a situation calls for it, it might be a good deadly weapon. Might. I haven't gotten the chance to try it anywhere so far. Today could be the day.
But you promised.
Look, if you don't want a parfait, how about a Bonifay pie? I'm sure it'll taste just as good as any other bread pudding. I'll even buy you the entire tray. How does that sound?
That's not what you said before.
Children!
Well, sweetheart, adults change their minds sometimes.
You said if I come with you, you'll buy me a bread pudding, and I did, and now you won't keep your promise.
No, darling, if I remember correctly, and I have a good memory, honey. What I said was, if you come quietly with me, I might buy you one. The quiet part didn't happen. Though now that I'm sober, I think this is a bad idea. And I should just ship you someplace else for that peace and quiet.
Oh, that's it. No hesitation. In a few paces, he's within my reach, and without warning, I'm slamming the flat area of the book against his skull. There's a cry of pain, followed by him instantly crouching down, hands nursing the sore spot. Almost comically, if this were a different situation and the safety of St. Goretti's student isn't at stake, I'd probably feel sorry for him. I mean, has anyone seen how thick this book is?
Get behind me, Kylie.
Miss Pink!
It's amusing how fast her expression changes from the pouty one earlier to something of utter delight upon seeing me. But there's no time for any pleasantries, not even quick ones, because soon the man straightens and I'm readying my favorite newfound weapon for another hit. Except this time he's ready, and before I can land another one, his hand shoots up to catch my wrist in a firm hold. Oh my god. And the look on his face.
Bloody hell, woman, what's your problem?
Beat him up! I'm kidding. To say he's pissed would be a complete understatement. I mean, anyone would be angry about being hit in the head randomly. Had I been a weak-willed sort, I'd probably cower under his sharp gaze, but that simply isn't how I roll. If he thinks he can scare me to do as he pleases here, just because I'm a woman or whatever his reason may be, he's got another thing coming for him. So instead, I return it to him with the same intensity, with the same venom.
What's my problem? You're the one who has a problem here. Rotten bowbags like you don't deserve the freedom to run this town. What are you doing to this girl?
Buying her food?
And why is that any of your business, pray tell?
Oh, it's my business if I make it to be. Now, release me or I'll call the police.
Oh, you think that scares me, Daisy?
I have a name, you sleazy douchebag.
Oh, I'm sure.
His grip on my hand only tightens when I attempt to shake it off. His tone may be dripping with anger and sarcasm, but the gleam in his eyes says it all. He's getting a kick out of this. Riling people up, getting on their nerves, invading their personal space. He knows exactly what and which buttons to push. The nerve of this person. The nerve of this arsehole. If he thinks I'm going to give in to his goading, please, he might as well just kiss his sorry behind.
Let me go, you uncouth lout.
That went down. What does she say if I hit him? No, I just re-saved over it. God damn it. Well, I guess that's it. I'm not going to go back in time. Whatever. My relationship can go down.
Or else what?
I'll scream.
He laughs, a derisive thing that rankles on my temper more than it has any right to. It is as if he knows I can't do anything, or he's above any authority that exists in this city, confident he can get away with anything. The gall of this man. At least he doesn't look as crazy anymore. I'd like to punch him right now if I can.
Nice try, lady. Why don't you drop the book first? You could kill people with that, you know.
Fat chance.
Oh no, that attitude won't do, Daisy. Here, let's try that again, like the proper adults we both are. Drop the bloody fucking book.
God damn it, why is he so funny?
And then what? If you're assuming I'm...
Then we'll have a nice conversation over a cuppa. Establish why you're attacking a poor, innocent stranger with a deadly weapon. And maybe weave in an apology or two for the offended party afterwards. I'm the offended party here, by the way. My brain hasn't returned to its rightful place yet, in case you're wondering.
Innocent? Don't play dumb. I heard what you were trying to do with that girl. Just because she isn't my student yet doesn't mean I don't have a role in protecting that child's innocence.
Protecting the what of who? Why would you... Oh no.
In the span of a second, the expression on his face changes faster than anyone is capable of, from pure confusion to sudden realization before finally deciding on a face of utter mortification. He's quick to drop his hold on my hand afterwards like he's been holding a piping hot object and has just realized it's in his hands all along. He's from a decent person, but he might actually make good money doing comedy. Honestly, yeah. The look on his face when he starts babbling his excuses is almost priceless.
No, this kid's... Alright, lady, look, it's all a misunderstanding.
My tone can't go any flatter than the one I have now.
Right. Somebody help me!
He places a hand on my mouth before I spill the rest of it, and all at once I'm caught between trying to stop him from smothering me and keeping his dirty hands off me. But even as my nails dig deeper into his wrist, he doesn't appear to have any intention of letting me go. Being loud works, however. Soon the attention of practically every customer seated in the small establishment is on us. I shoot each of them an imploring look, hoping one of them will have the sense to help. The sleaze, however, is fast enough to flash them all an embarrassed smile.
This lady's having such a bad day. Poor girl's just been through so much today. Nothing to see here. Go on with your dinner.
Bad day. Even if this were a friendly chat, I won't even touch you with a 10-foot pole, much less share of any problems with you, blighter. You're my problem. I want to blurt out, but with a hand covering my mouth and my lungs rapidly losing air, I bite down on his hand, hard. And it works. He yowls and jerks his hand away from my face, stepping back to put as much distance as he can between us, while nursing his injured hand against his chest and muttering a string of very creative cuss words. Tears have formed at the corners of his eyes from the pain, and a small laughter almost leaves me. To be frank, he gives the impression of a kicked puppy with the glare he shoots me. A puppy I'm less inclined to feel sorry about.
You mad woman!
I warned you, you ass!
Why, this is harassment, I'm telling you!
Harassment! Harassment. He really likes to pronounce it that way.
And why don't you tell that to the police once they get here,
You despicable! Whatever you're assuming I am, I'll have you know it's all in your head. None of it's true. You best have that pretty brain of yours checked before that gets worse. What is wrong with you? Is this the face of someone who'd do anything suspicious?
Yes.
Oh? You don't think a stranger luring an innocent child with promises of sweets before whisking them away from their parents doesn't warrant any suspicion? You have a very funny definition of suspicious, asshole. Maybe you're the one who should have that head of yours checked.
The kid asked me to buy her sweets. You're the one who's suspicious here. I'll have you know, I have a wife.
That much, at least, appears to have a sliver of truth to it. He even makes a show of brandishing his left hand to my face with much flourish. Sure enough, a wedding ring is there, though all that earned him is an unimpressed glare from me. Immediately, a small part of me starts to feel sorry for whatever poor woman married this sod. I don't understand why he has to bring her up either, as if the mention of her alone will magically present a solution to his problem. She must truly be a remarkable woman if she can handle a dirtbag like him.
And even my wife of all people in this bloody city, has never, I'm telling you, accused me of such a scandalous thing! You crazy woman!
Married or not, you're still a sleaze. Honestly, I feel...
Miss Pink, why are you fighting with my teeth?
Thank you. Whatever words still left to be said here dies on my tongue. Same thing goes for the sleaze. Besides us standing, Kylie gawking at us with the same curious stare she often brings with her. I know that look all too well, a precocious child through and through. She doesn't say anything further. Her gaze simply moves between us, eyeing us both carefully, clearly anticipating an answer. From my experience, when it gets like this with children her age, it's a sure sign they won't leave you until you've given them an answer they're satisfied with. Lying won't do it either. It has dissolved into a shouting match, for heaven's sake. And did she just say Tio? Something falls straight into the pit of my stomach at that, but my tone is gentle when I finally address her, void of any apprehension and what might be the first hints of embarrassment. I pointedly ignore the latter. It can be very well just the hunger speaking.
Hey, sweetie, do you know this oaf?
Yeah, he's Tio Luke.
Right at that moment, my brain stops. Every line of thought, every argument I still have against the man besides me dissipates in a haze. Amidst all of it, one memory gets triggered from a few days ago.
Tio? The one you mentioned before?
Yes.
The uncle?
Yes.
The guy Rowan wanted to impress?
Yes.
Or is it the one who promised he'll take Big Brother someplace cool?
No, you're wrong.
Yeah, the one and the same. Don't you know who he is?
I sure as hell don't, darling, because if I do, I wouldn't have let everything I said earlier come from my mouth.
My Tio Luke. Gazillionaire extraordinaire, am I? No, the fairy godfather.
He's your godfather. That's nice.
The one and only. Did I get that right, Tio?
More than right, sweetheart. I'm sure Miss Pink here understood everything you said quite perfectly.
Whatever it is that landed at the bottom of my stomach prior has shot straight up to my face and stayed there. The heat from it slowly spreading to my cheeks, coloring my face in almost the same shade as my hair. If only the earth would swallow me whole here and now. His eyes are on me, I can feel them, jeering, mocking. I can't even bring myself to look at him. What's in there? Amusement? I doubt it. He's probably having the time of his life right now. But I know, I can hear the sneer in his tone alone when he talks, that his smug grin on him, which I may or may not want to punch off his face at the present, just for the hell of it. But damage control. Save. Apologize to Kylie. Ha! Okay, I'm not saving. I'm actually going to go back. Load. Yes, let's just apologize to Luke. Let's keep them at a little... Wow, he liked that a lot, actually. Okay, then. Though it pains me to apologize to a sleazebag like him, this is my mistake. With Kylie watching us close by, I don't want to set a bad example for her, do I? I'm surprised she grew up the child she is. If anything, I want to be the role model this man couldn't possibly become from her. But even if it means taking a few blows to my ego and stroking his insufferable one. A deep gulp of air and a short moment to swallow my self-respect, and then I'm facing him. The words are out of my mouth in a single breath.
I'm really, really sorry, sir.
The bigger person achievement unlocked.
I had no idea.
His smirk is impossible to miss. He's not making an effort to hide it, and even the smile is so irritatingly present in his tone. If I could slap it off of him, I'd do it in a heartbeat.
Now, it's an honest mistake, Daisy.
No, I really mean it. I actually thought you were... And then...
It's fine now. It probably happens quite a lot to a few people who look suspicious to you. Seems I'm one of them now. But don't lose sleep over it.
What the heck was that whisper for?
Do be careful with that book, though. A little more and you would have dislodged my poor brain off my head.
Might have like a brain bleed or
What
something.
would I ever do if that happens?
Sewer.
Oh,
I mean,
no.
what?
Did it leave a mark or anything? If you want, we can have it checked. I'll handle the expenses if there's a need for it.
Now, what kind of man would I be if I let an attractive woman such as yourself do that?
Wow.
Why don't we just look at it this way? My forgiveness is coming from the utter goodness of my heart.
Luke is the funniest character in this game, just saying. So full of himself. Exactly the kind of person I'll happily leave to die in a ditch somewhere.
Of course, sir. Why didn't I think of it that way?
I know, right?
I know, right?
But even someone as capable as you is bound to have a few lapses. No harm done, Daisy. Let's move on from this.
Well, if you're going to put it like that, then I guess there's nothing left for us to talk about.
I figured as much.
Awkward. The whole exchange is nothing but awkward display of fake pleasantries. One that brings much agony to the very pride I've willingly held back a while ago. I might need a drink later so I can forget any of this ever happened. Who would have thought the time would come when I'd meet someone tougher to handle than Isabella? Miracles of miracles, I swear. Though to my surprise he offers me a hand shortly before they leave for a shake. I realize after a long minute of staring at it. Is that really, proffers? I don't know. That's really bad spelling, if that is meant to be offers. I accept it, albeit half-heartedly, but all the goodwill and small gesture represents melts into thin air when he winks at me. Winks! The gall of this man! However, there's no moment to ponder about it. Seconds later, the guy at the counter waves me over and hands me a paper bag as soon as I've paid. He offers me another smile before I leave. Normally, I return it for the sake of returning it, or I don't at all, with the latter happening more commonly. For the time being, I do so freely. After that encounter, the scene we've caused, seeing a friendly gesture being extended to me, albeit from a person I barely know on a personal level, it feels like a reassurance, despite bearing no promises of better days. I'll take what little I can of it with me as I step out into the night. That's gonna have to do it for this one. It's been just about 2 hours. It has been 2 hours. Let's just take a look at the branching tree. Finally move past here, and this. So we are not even a quarter of the way through. This is actually catching up compared to when I was with Marianne and it was at 0. Wow. Okay, let me save. I'm on page... There's only 10. I'm going to have to save things. And let's double check the journal real quick. Before anything else on the locker. And then... Oh, that's a great photo of him getting banged out. But yeah, like I said, I'm gonna have to end this one here. I've been going for 2 hours. It's pretty long because the baby's been taking her nap, so I need to wake her up and give her dinner and stuff like that. But thank you guys all so much for watching. Thank you, Legendary Anime Fan, for commenting, or should I say chatting. This is a live stream. And if you guys did enjoy this series and you want to see me play more things like this, leave comments to let me know other series that you like to see me play or are similar to the letter. And leave a like, comment, subscribe if you're new. It'd be great. And I'll see you in the next one, which will probably be tomorrow, Wednesday, the 20th. Again, around 7:37, maybe 8 Eastern time in the afternoon. 7 or 8 p.m. Eastern time. But yeah, thank you guys again, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye, guys.